Hello, everyone. So this is the beginning of this conference, which will take a demo form about open data and no-code tools for social economy users. So I'm Jeanne Bretécher. I'm the president of the Social Good Accelerator, and I will introduce this session, presenting, of course, our speakers. So welcome to Sander van der Waal from Waag. I hope I pronounce it well. Víctor Meseguer from Social Economy Europe. Patricia de la Garza from Quiddity. Erwan Kezzar from Contournement. And I will let them introduce themselves in a few words, beginning with Sander.
Good morning, Jeanne. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Sander van der Waal. I work as a research director at Waag in the Netherlands. We're a research institute, a non-profit, working to create and experiment with technology from a societal perspective and ensuring that the way in which we use technology in our societies works to the benefit of all and not just for the big tech corporations, let's say.
Thank you very much, Víctor.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you hear me well. So I'm Víctor Meseguer. I'm the director of Social Economy Europe. Social Economy Europe is the EU-level organization representing 2.8 million social economy enterprise and organizations across the European Union. A diversity of social economy enterprise and organizations, cooperatives, mutuals, associations, foundations, social enterprises, and many other legal forms specific to each member state. And very happy to share this workshop with our partner SOGA Europe and with all the other colleagues to learn from them and support social economy in this digital transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Víctor. Patricia.
Good morning, I'm Patricia, and I'm the founder of Quiddity. I'm a consultant based in France, and I've been working on data projects for the past 20 years, so it's a very exciting field. I believe there are a lot of possibilities for the social economy, and so I'm happy to partner with the Social Good Accelerator to bring some of the experience from my for-profit work into these other initiatives that we're building. So I'm happy to be here and to share with you what we are building together.
Thank you very much, Patricia and Erwan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Erwan Kezzar, and I'm one of the co-founders of Contournement. In French, Contournement means bypass, to bypass, and we train people on bypassing technical barriers so that they can launch their website, their web apps, their automations, so that they can do many things that only coders could do until now. And we do it through training them to no-code tools. And we are here because we created an app, a mobile app and a web app. We will demo you in a few minutes. Yes, because democratization of software production is really, really a big opportunity for social companies, organizations, and all.
Thank you, Erwan. And I will end with Thomas, which is not on the slide, but he took a very important part into this project, and I would especially like to thank him. So, Thomas, if you want to say some word. Okay, he's too concentrated on the presentation. So let's begin. I will make a short introduction about the project we will present today. We worked hard in the past few months on this project to demonstrate how we can use open data and thanks to no-code tool, transform open data into very useful digital tools for social economy. We are the Social Good Accelerator. We are a non-profit based in between Paris and Brussels. We were born in 2018, sorry. we are working on digital transformation for social economy and on the enhancement of social tech models in Europe. So we have 3 action levers. In fact, we are presenting ourselves as a digital common. We have this research pillar, and we are making studies to analyze the needs of social economy organization regarding their digital transition, of course, but also has non-profit observer. We are analyzing ecosystems based on non-profit governance, using open data to create economic and also social and environmental value. We have these public effort pillars, and we are working hard with Social Economy Europe on it to raise awareness among the European institutions on the field needs. And also we have this community organizing pillar, and this community organizing lever is working on projects. And the Social Tech Atlas we will present today is one of the projects which is community-based, in fact, and we are working collectively on this project to improve awareness and community organizing for digital transformation of social economy in Europe. So we began with a study in 2019 to analyze the needs and the expectation about cooperation with tech sector in the social economy organizations. And what we observed, one of the main learnings, is that open source and open data is pretty much valuable for social economy organizations. And this learning is also enlightened by the study new technologies and digitization of ES and COSM, which was published a few months after ours. And you see that 89% of the social economy organization which responded to that study are also waiting for open source and open data solutions. If we take a look on open data figures, it's a big economic value within the European Union. And there is also institutional tools. These 2 portals, European Data Portal and EU Open Data Portal, are currently merging into this new portal, dataeuropea.eu, and they are offering data sets for every European organization and beyond. And today, one of our recommendations, we deposited a policy paper recently to work on the action plan for social economy, is that open data sets will be strengthened for social economy, especially with the EU project funded data sets, because it should be mandatory, but to date, when a project is funded by European Union, the data sets are not always open. If we take a look on NoCode markets, you can see it's an emerging market, but a very fast one. And Erwan, which is who is an expert, will manage to explain you the use. Basically, NoCode tools enable any person or organization to create a mobile app or website without any coding skills. And it allows organization to prototype easily solutions, digital solutions, based on especially data sets. So that's the thing we want to demonstrate today. Yeah, just a rapid glance on all the potentiality of NoCode. You can see you can build projects and you can also build database with easy tools now available on the market. We should yeah, just say that most of them are from the US and the EU market has to develop them faster to respect the GDPR, for example. But Erwan will develop that. So the tool we want to show you today is our Social Tech Atlas. We managed to aggregate some data sets available on the web from, for example, a DSI for EU project, which was funded by H2020 for 3 years, and that Sander will present you. Our goal was to create a map and a web app and a mobile app to enable a digital transition of social economy organization and allow them to find the right organization in Europe for their needs. So we created some categories. It's really diverse, as you can see, but we will see that all together in the presentation. So our goals today is to make a proof of concept by this demonstration, and also to present you the new tool with open data. And I will let intervene. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jeanne. So I will focus a little bit more on the DSI for EU project that Waag's been involved with, which actually made out of 2 separate projects that followed on from each other. So in total, we were working on these efforts for about 5 years. And what you can see here is the map that we created based on our research that we did when we researched digital social innovation in Europe. And what we looked at is really through a combination of methods, get a sense of who was working on this area of digital social innovation in Europe and what were they working on. So there are 829 projects in that database and 2,843 organizations represented. We focused on 4 areas related to digital social innovation: open data, open hardware, open knowledge, and open networks. And in these 4 areas, we had popular categories from organizations working on areas such as big data, mobile apps, crowdsourcing, crowd mapping, crowdfunding, but also sensors and Internet of Things applications and online marketplaces. So it's a very diverse range of organizations that are all sort of contributing to this concept of digital social innovation, which I think is very relevant for the topic here today. Also, when we think about the social economy and how it could be supported through digitalization, what is important is that the digitalization efforts are contributing towards that social goal, those social aims of the initiative, rather than to take away from it. So that means that we can really benefit from, as Jeanne already said, the initiatives around open data and open source software, And in this initiative, it is actually building on the research that we've done here to actually make that network stronger, to understand who else is working on it, and to take that data further. So really pleased to be part of this session, and we've had some very fruitful discussions of how the work that we did here is sort of repurposed into different contexts and made relevant again for our challenges today. So if you could go to the next slide, Jeanne, I wanted to show a little bit more about how we repurpose the data ourselves within an initiative. This was an initiative led by Nesta. Nesta was a lead partner in the collaboration for the project, and we created the European Digital Social Innovation Index, where we looked at city initiatives, and you can see a ranking of cities on the left here. I looked up in preparation. Unfortunately, Mannheim is not on this list, but we were specifically looking into 6 different themes that are relevant for the social economy. So you can see them here: skills, infrastructure, diversity and inclusion, collaboration, funding, and civil society. And we looked at what initiatives came from what city in Europe and where these initiatives were sort of best represented. And this could really help you sort of understand what is happening in your own region where you're from, or when you're looking to seek out collaboration with other European initiatives in other countries and cities in Europe. You can use this map and explore the data behind it. When you go to the site, you can click through it and find out what other initiatives there are. And this was based off the same data that is now also feeding into the Social Tech Atlas. So maybe as a final contribution, I wanted to focus a little bit more on how we're working on the data ourselves and thinking about how mapping could be relevant for us to create stronger networks that support digitalization in Europe in a way that is in line with the public common values that we hold dear in Europe. So when you look at the next slide, you can see an initiative that we started to map out organizations in the ecosystem working on ethical internet for the public good. And this is a new initiative which is inspired by the work that we did in the digital social innovation work, where we are focusing more specifically on how we can create digital platforms that are based on public common European values. So one of the interesting things here is that this is a work in progress. I will share the link in the chat later so everyone can have a look and contribute to this. We presented this during the Public Spaces Conference, which is an initiative that is really working on building these online spaces for the public good. And one thing that we found when we were gathering this data is that it is actually quite challenging right now to deal with questions like, how do you deal with personal data? Because of GDPR, you don't just publish personal data. You have to grant permission. And then at the same time, we also don't want to create a big database with personal identifiable information, which could be used for spam purposes and things like that. So one of the challenges that we're still figuring out is that on the one hand, it's good to have like a public phone book almost of organizations as we had in DSI, and that we're building on here within the Public Spaces Initiative. But we're trying to get one step further and see how you can find not just the organizations, but connect with the people behind them, because there's lots of interesting people that you want to collaborate with. So this is one of the challenges that we haven't fully figured out yet. But I think it's really interesting to see how these mapping initiatives and the networks that are working on similar purpose could be connected, and how the data that underpins these published as open data could be repurposed for other work as well and other projects. And maybe use no-code tools in order to do that. Let me hand back to Jeanne and leave it at that for now. I look forward to discuss it a bit more later in the session.
Thank you very much, Sander. So now that we explored one of the main inspiration we had beginning this project, I want to let Patricia explain how we build the database, or own one, because it requests some skills, in fact, and as a data architect, she could manage to improve our own skills and also to build a strong database and a useful one. So, Patricia, it's your turn.
Yes, thank you. So the work that Sander described was indeed very inspiring and for Soga. And actually, up to that point, we were data users. So we knew the data, we thought it was very cool. So the aim here was to continue that work and to, like Sander was saying, to repurpose it, to enhance it, or at least adapt it so that it helps us in our mission. So the first thing we have to do, or we had to do, was to kind of change our mindset and think, okay, we're more than data users now. We want to be a data provider. So that takes some rethinking, maybe in your organization. Being a data provider is not like your main goal. So, but how could this asset, this data that is very valuable, how could you capture more of it? How could you analyze it in a more interesting way? How could you share it with other people so that they can create these new applications? So when you think about that and how it can be useful to your organization and your shareholders, then you can start seeing how data can be a very important part in your strategy. So once you know that you want to go into this path of becoming a data provider like we did, so if you can go to the next slide, Jeanne. Oh yeah, one thing you might be thinking is, actually, I don't have a lot of data in my organization. The scope is quite limited. It might not be that useful, but actually data, the more you play with it, the more valuable it might become. So we encourage, and we do want to share more data, and we think that open data is a good thing, because then magic can happen. When the more you share, the more creative ways, like what Sander showed us, is fantastic, like new ways of just even visualize it. But then when you aggregate it, when you combine it, then again, the value of data can grow exponentially. So don't feel that because you have something that is quite specific, it might not be useful. So now, how do we approach this process of becoming a data provider? So in our case, we have this atlas. We wanted to create it. So the first thing is that it has to be something that is aligned to your mission. So at this, okay, it's nice to share data, but how is it helping my mission? And who are my stakeholders? So which of my stakeholders will derive value from this? How is that going to help them? So we understand our audience very well and their wants and needs. You can also engage with them and even use some of the UX design principles to interview them. We also even have a canvas for this project. So we were very clear from day one that we have this goal of mapping the ecosystem of the tech players that can collaborate with our stakeholders and help them advance in their missions. So this is what the Atlas is going to do. It's going to give you a list that is up to date and that is complete of the people who are next to you or who are working in similar things that can help you. So that was our goal. And then the other thing when you approach this type of project is, at least our philosophy is to stay agile. So it's not something, sorry, someone had to ring the door. But so you have to be agile. So it's going to be an iterative process. So we wanted to first prototype before doing these huge investments. And it's important that you start getting user feedback right away. So in our case, we have defined a roadmap with different features, things we want to accomplish, but the first thing was getting what you're going to see today, which is our minimum viable product out the door and get your feedback, and then we'll go from there based on what we learned. So the key functionality we have today is that you have this fantastic search, and we'll add more things as we go. And the last part of our philosophy also, it's to keep it simple. So especially if you don't have like a big IT department behind you to help you, really just stick to the tools and the data that you know well, that you're familiar with, and don't let technology bog you down. So really, this is also why we're going to talk today about NoCode tools. So we have this first version of the database, and then I'll tell you how we built it just after, but by building this application on top of it, it helps us, number one, validate it, that our database has the right fields, and maybe imagining new fields that we might want to add later. And it provides value right away. So this prototype, it's maybe a beta version, but it's useful right away. So I think with these 3 principles, you can get started even in a small project and very quickly put something out the door. So how does a data project look like? Well, it's actually this infinite loop. It never ends. So you have the data that you're going to gather. We can go to the next slide if you want, Jeanne. You have the data that you are going to gather. So that's where normally we start. So with your different data sources, which could be existing databases, government data, weather data, stuff that you get from websites. You need the tools to do it. So you can do some scripting, or you can even use NoCode tools to automate some of these workflows. As we saw, there are so many tools, and some of them do, for example, web scraping. And then also, once you have the data, in a data project, the biggest part of it is the preparation of the data. At least, I mean, in all the projects I've worked on, it's the case, and it was not an exception for this atlas. You have data that comes from different sources, and you gotta clean it. You gotta get rid of the, we talked about GDPR, so you gotta get rid of all the very sensitive information, personal information. If you're dealing, it's not our case, but you might be dealing with numbers, with figures, so you want to do some simple cleaning or calculation. Imagine even just phone numbers, how messy it is. So depending where you get the data, sometimes there is a plus, the parentheses, space, dash. So all this logic has to be done. As you're getting started, in our case, Thomas, our project manager, worked like crazy on this part. It can be a manual work at first, just to understand all the logic that you need to implement. But later, of course, we want to use other tools to make sure that it doesn't take days to get the data out the door. So that's where maybe some scripting tools, some no-code tools, some Excel macros, whatever you feel comfortable with to prepare the data. And then once this phase is done, you also have to think about where are you going to store the data? So of course, it depends on the size of the data. Is it one table? Is it many tables, many files, zip files? And this also depends on things like, okay, do you want Silicon Valley to have this data? Or is it so confidential that you want to have it in your server in your country, and maybe it's open, but you need to authorize, who or know who's using this data. And also, are you gonna historize it? Are you gonna keep the latest photo? This sort of thinking of how is it gonna evolve over time, which is very important. And then you get to the publish part, which is where you're gonna give that data to the world in some way, which could be an API, it could be a download file, or it could be, like we did, an application on top of it, on top of a file. And or maybe your audience, all they want is that you give them a dashboard, something that is a bit more processed and analyzed, or a visualization that they get every month, and so they don't really care for the file. In this case, also think in terms of when you're thinking of open data, you have to think about the licensing. So what are the rules to access this data? Do people need to notify you, to mention you, quote you? And also, if you're going to change the version, you cannot break what was done before. So you really need to engage with your users and say, hey, we're making this modification, we're adding new fields, and obviously get the feedback so that you can keep this loop, you can keep improving your data application. So let me show you how that looks for us, how we did it. So the sources is we took the existing databases, like the one Sander just mentioned. So that was our inspiration, but there were other interesting sources that we gather and that we join in one single place. And there was also some web scraping. So we had some scripts to go connect to websites or to Twitter and gather some valuable information that then we added to this database. And after that, there was a huge work to prepare this data, finding missing data, cleaning up the data, like we said. We wanted to have this geolocalization feature. It was important to us, so we had to go and get precise latitude, longitude information, for example, standardize the format for the different graphs, and then obviously clear sensitive data. There was sensitive data there, so get rid of it. And for that, we put all this in Google Sheets. So Google Sheets has been like our working tool where we're gathering all the information. There was some Python, and I believe maybe even some no-coding also, some other tools. And so the result of that was this Google Sheet. So for us, it's only a few thousand rows so far and only 30 columns. So for this first prototype, this first version, since there is no sensitive data, we feel actually comfortable having it for now in Google Sheets and also on Airtable, which allows for some easy integration with other tools. And then now for the published part, so again, I'll repeat, we have the database. Is there, you can look at it. The links are being shared on the chat. And so Erwan took this database and built a web application and a mobile application that you can go and use now. So in a few weeks, we were able to go through this cycle. I won't say it was necessarily easy, but it is possible to go from an idea to complete this first version of the data project in a few weeks if you choose the tools and the approach right. So with this, I let Erwan demo you this, how he built our MVP.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Patricia. So now I am going to show you my screen to talk to you about NoCode and show you what we realized at Contournement. Can you see my slide? Okay, just to begin, I have to explain a bit more in detail what no-code tools are, because some people may say, yeah, but Excel is a no-code tool because you don't have to program to write code to make calculations. No, no-code tools, that's a category of technologies that are really emerging, that's been emerging for 4 years ago. It has become mature, it has become ready 4 years ago. It exists for a longer time, but you can see on Google's curve on the top left corner that this word has appeared really about 4 years ago. And no-code tools are tools that are 100% cloud-based. What does it mean? It means that if you want to make a website, if you want to make a web app, if you want to automate some processes, you don't have to install anything. You don't have to set something complicated up. You just have to subscribe online, like if you created an Instagram account, and then you can begin to work visually without reading code, without writing code. And then when you want to share your website or your web app or your mobile app, you just have to click on publish, and that's okay. You can share the screen. And that's something very important to begin with, because that's why non-technical people, non-technical profile can create things with no-code tools. That's because you don't have anything to install. The first step is really light, And we have nothing to install, nothing to host. Everything is self-hosted. So sometimes you can have a bit of dependence, but we can talk about that later if you want. And it's 100% visual, nothing to code, no code to read. That's what is no-code tools. That's not low-code tools. On our part, we've only worked with no-code tools. Not low-code tools, you need to know a bit of coding to do something. No code, you have to do no coding. And there are many tools in no code, in the no code universe, to make web apps, websites, to create database, to create some automations also, so that the machine can do the stuff you would have to do by hand repetitively. And here we used Glide for the mobile application, and Airtable for the database, and Software for the web app. Before showing you what we've done, what we've created, I will begin with an example because Jeanne thought it would be a good idea to show you a case where no coding was had a real big impact on the project. That was during the first wave of epidemic in France, the first lockdown. There is an organization called Banlieue Santé who helps people, underprivileged people who have no access to healthcare because sometimes they don't understand how it works. They think they will have to pay. And during the first wave of epidemics, one of them, the co-founder, said, we want to translate prevention videos in many languages for non-French speaking people, so that they understand what's happening, so that they understand what are the right gestures to do. And that's the first thing that we put into the application, so those translated videos. And Banlieue Santé, they also delivered some meals to elder people in some very unprivileged areas, and they needed some people who helped them. They needed some people who gave them some food, some money. They needed to organize that all. So we also created a big coordination tool, so that they didn't use emails plus WhatsApp plus Excel plus many tools. Now we created some forms like this, so that people could apply to be someone who helps, or could give some money, or could give some food. And then behind, but I can't show it to you because there are some sensitive data, they could organize, for example, when there was a new helper, they could validate him or her. Then this helper could say, I'm going to go to this mission. This mission has an address, but they couldn't see some data that were sensitive. When they had finished their delivery, they could rate how it happened, how it had gone, comment it. Be careful. The custody, for example, the responsible is a bit I don't know, cautious. I don't find the word, but so that all the people of the association after the delivery could comment, rate. So that was a real application, a real application of coordination. I made the mobile application with Glide. I've made all the coordination tool with Airtable, and the first version I had finished it in less than 1 day. And that's very important to say this, because I've run several web agencies in my life, and normally that kind of project I would have needed 1 month minimum, and maybe, I don't know, 15,000 euros. Here I only paid 2 subscriptions of 20 euros a month, and in less than 1 day I could achieve this. Then we made it evolve during the next weeks, but this app has helped thousands of people and maybe saved lives. And that's a right example of a concrete project on the field that needed some organization and some communication tools, and that potentialized that really improved their potential and their impact. That's when NoCode is really helpful. But in this example, I did it, and I know NoCode. That would have been more interesting if people of Banlieue Santé had done it by themselves. Now they master it. Now they master Glide and Airtable, and they make it evolve on their own. But what I'm gonna show you now for Soga, for the social tech atlas, I have to confess you something. I didn't make it on my own. My girlfriend made it, and my girlfriend, she got only trained during 1 day on no coding, so she only practiced no code for maybe 10 hours, and she achieved what you're gonna see now. Here is the mobile app. There was a very big work about data, as my co-speakers just described. So I received this table with all the associations, the organizations. Okay, a clean table with structured data. With this, my girlfriend, so Louise, created this. You can go on socialtechatlas.glideapp.io if you want. We haven't put the real name yet. but next week it will be socialtechatlas.io. So here is the mobile app you'll get on your phone. You can see it on your computer also. I go to the atlas. Here is a map of all the associations, the organizations. For example, this one. Can click on it. I will take one with a nice logo. Okay. Here are the information. I could favorite it if I wanted. I can filter it. For example, I only want to see digital inclusion. Okay. Then I can defilter it. I can search. For example, if I put fab, okay, I have a real-time search engine. And this part, Louise, who was a beginner, so who could be someone in an organization who doesn't code, she's made this part in approximately 2 hours. You know, when we have put this table into Glide, it gave not this, we had to customize it, but it gave something that was not far from it. Now let's look at what Glide looks like under the curtain. Excuse me. Here we are in Glide. That's a NoCode tool. Everything's visual and everything's online. I only have to click on share and I can share the link to you. I don't have to host anything. So, for example, if I click on this, Investir Plus, I know that. Here I can see all the items that are here. If I put it here, for example, I just move it, it will move in real time. If I want to add a button, a text, audio, image, map, I can do it. That's a very strong vision of Glide. That's to say everyone can use that kind of icon. So you can't do anything you want with Glide. There are some rails, like a train, you know, but you can go very far with it. And behind the map, as I said, this is it. If I change something here, it will be changed in the map. So this was for the mobile part. So know that as an organization, as a non-technical person, you can master that kind of tools in less than 1 day. Of course, you will not be an expert, but in less than 1 day, you can ship something, you can deliver something that people can use. Let's get it real. And there are some other no-code tools for mobile apps that are more complicated to use, but Glide is the easiest to use for mobile apps. Okay. So, yes?
Erwan, yeah, I'm sorry, we're running out of time, and I think it's time to...
20 minutes for my part in the driver.
Yes, but
okay.
if we want to let people intervene in the end,
okay.
maybe... I'm sorry, it was an amazing presentation, and we are so proud of these achievements, these collective achievements. Thank you very much. And thanks to Louise for integrating everything the past week. It's pretty recent. So yeah, Víctor, we would like to hear your intervention about EU policy, because we have work to do about that. I'm gonna share my screen again, but you can start.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jeanne. So first of all, I will be super brief, also because I am the only non-expert in this panel. I mean, so the work you all do is impressive. And what I wanted, I was super interested by the different presentations. And what I wanted, one of the first messages that I wanted to share is, first of all, thanks to SOGA Europe, to the Social Good Accelerator for organizing this, but also for all the work that you do together, always building bridges and always cooperating. If I may share some random and maybe a bit disorder ideas, the social economy has always been about pioneers. Jeanne, maybe we could go back to I mean, without the slides, so that we can see each other on a more conversational way. Thanks a lot. But in any case, yeah, thank you very much. What I wanted to say is that social economy has always been about pioneers. You know, the first modern cooperative was founded in the first half of the 19th century in the UK, in Rochdale, so near Manchester, in the heart of the Industrial Revolution. A group of textile workers wanted to access honest food at honest prices, and they created the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers, where women and men, more than 50 years before the beginning of the suffragette movement, had one vote. A democratic enterprise in which profits were reinvested, and in which the main mission was to serve the collective interest of the members. So you guys are also pioneers, and that's very obvious. And actually, you're putting a lot of effort. And I mean, I have discovered some of your stories today, but I know Jeanne since quite a bit, and I know that she fits totally in the definition of a pioneer and a person that puts a lot of effort in opening new paths, new opportunities for the social economy sector and SOGA Europe team in general. So now, how do we? I will be very brief in explaining in which political context we are and how we transform everything that was said and how we use. I mean, I think that we don't need policy for everything. You see how Erwan and Jeanne and SOGA Europe are already cooperating, right, in mapping social innovation. How Waag is also leading this DSI project. So I mean, digital social innovation project. So policy is not always needed, but let's try to see a bit in which political context we are and how policy can help. The movement that already exists and the pioneers that are already out there trying to digitalize the social economy and to lead the digital transition with different values: people first, reinvestment, at the service of the local development, at the service of the collective, or of the social interest. So at the end of this year, the European Commission will present a European action plan for the social economy. It sounds very easy, colleagues, but it's something for which we have been fighting since 2014. Okay, so now we have an opportunity to have a big policy for the social economy, and of course, I mean, we are in the world. You know, I mean, we are not different from others, and we are in the middle of a digital revolution, of a digital transition and a green transition. First of all, let's take into account that we are super innovative already. We are leading those transitions, maybe not the digital transitions, but we are leading with very innovative practices. In the green transition is very obvious, you know, the renewable cooperative energy movements, social enterprises in circular economy, and so on and so forth. But also in the digital economy, we are seeing a lot of grassroots movements presenting alternatives, like platform cooperatives, riders or consumers that are fed up with the actual system, with the current system, which is an extractive system, and they are coming together, creating their own platforms and empowering themselves and empowering the local communities again. So let's recognize that there is a lot of innovation already in the social economy and a lot of solutions that social economy is already offering. It can be platform co-ops, but also, and platform co-ops both from workers' perspective, both for consumers' perspective, that want real P2P exchange, real sharing, a real sharing economy in which no third party is extracting profits and maximizing them. Going back to the policy context, the social economy in general. So in Europe, 2.8 million businesses, many different, very different among them. Some of them are very big; they are leaders. You know, the third industrial group of Spain is a cooperative, so that's fantastic. That's great. The colleagues of Mondragon Corporation, the first worker co-op in the world, need help, but they already have a lot of means. But in the social economy, we have all the third sector, the associative movement, small cooperatives that really need to be supported through this digital transition. What are the opportunities? And I will be very brief. The opportunities, the big opportunity right now, in my opinion, is called Pact for Skills. It is an initiative that was launched by the European Commission. DG Grow, this morning we heard to Commissioner Thierry Breton, together with Commissioner Schmidt, DG Employment, they have launched the Pact for Skills. And very briefly, under this Pact for Skills, the social economy has been, I will try maybe to share my screen, although I have no idea because I haven't tried before. Yeah, there we go. I think now I can share my screen. So social economy has been I mean, the European Commission says that social economy is one of the 14 industrial ecosystems for the recovery of Europe. So we have a lot of ecosystems. We have tourism, aerospace and defense, textiles, electronics, of course, the automotive industry, renewable energies, agri-food, and so on and so forth. And then, we have the social economy, which is actually a cross-sectoral ecosystem, because social economy is all over the place. So thanks to this, social economy has a lot of opportunities in the Pact for Skills and in Erasmus+. So we need to be funded collectively. We need to build bridges to cooperate so that we can help social economy employees, social economy entrepreneurs, thanks to the European Union, with the support of the European Union and member states, to lead this digital transition. There is EU budget for that now. Under Erasmus+, under the Pact for Skills, we need to use it, and we need to build alliances among ourselves to use it in a coherent manner, and to make sure that this is a success. In terms of access to finance, there is a lot of stuff. I will not be boring, but under the new multi-annual financial framework, we have opened up a lot of new possibilities. The ESF Plus it has social economy at its core now, so the European Social Fund, but also the InvestEU, which is the big European Commission investment tool, and also the Recovery and Resilience Facility, which is the heart of the recovery plan for Europe. So we have many windows of opportunity now that before didn't exist. Let's use them. Let's make sure that the offer meets the demand. And for that, we need to organize and to cooperate again with European institutions. And let's support social economy organizations. And with that, I will shut up. The work that SOGA Europe does, this pioneer work that SOGA Europe does, that Waag with the Digital Social Innovation Project does, needs to be supported. And the Social Economy Action Plan should generate answers for that, should generate instruments to support this mapping of social good actors in Europe, right? So with that, I will shut up. And if there is any question, I'm happy to answer. But the experts are the women and men that spoke before.
Thank you very much, Victor. Yeah, European policies is a big part of the mission of Social Good Accelerator and Social Economy in Europe, and we are working closely on it, especially about open data development for social economy, as you might have understood. This is still a work in progress, and we all social economy organizations have to be open, more open with their data, especially when they are funded by European institutions. It's a habit that we should all have, and skills we should all integrate fast to improve our collective efficiency. That is one of the main subjects and recommendation we put within our policy paper I just shared in the chat. So we have a few minutes left for your questions and interventions. I believe we have the possibility to invite people on the screen. Miriam, would you like to raise your question directly on the screen? I can read it. What, in your opinion, would be needed on a regional local level to share knowledge with actors in the social innovation field, which are often less well-trained in digital innovation? We think that if I can answer, but all the speakers can. Yeah, we think Erasmus Plus is the accurate program to do that, and there's a lot of initiative. I'm just thinking about one of TechSoup Europe, and they build this collective program, which is both local and European, to develop digital literacy for the nonprofits. So that is an example. But we should be more organize as a community, and we should develop more collective projects. And that is a specific goal of our social tech atlas, is to allow organization to find each others and to build to co-innovate and to build coalition to accelerate digital transition for the main organization. Yeah, that is one answer, but maybe you.
If I can add something, I totally agree with what Jeanne said. So there are many, so from the EU level, there are many opportunities. And for instance, Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs could be also a nice project. So having an entrepreneur that is going to an experience, a digital social innovation company and learning from it and building bridges. And we need to use more the Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs in the social economy community. But beyond that, in the part of organizing ourselves and working better together, right? So we have what the social economy, I mean, public policy is one dimension, and then there is us, right? A super big community that has a lot of homework to do, that has a lot of potential, that has a lot of nice stories, but also a lot of work to do. And we have a lot of instruments to support social economy enterprises and to support social innovators. In France, for instance, you have the regional chambers of social and solidarity economy, right? Which are associated then in EUSES France. So in every region of France, there is a chamber supporting social economy entrepreneurs. In Spain, something similar happens with the different legal forms, with worker co-ops, but also with the whole social economy, and so on and so forth. What we need to understand is that the future is going to be digital. There is no doubt about that. The present is already digital. Actually, it's not the future anymore. We need to connect efforts, and Jeanne was very right. We need to connect the efforts of experts as a Social Good Accelerator and the ones present here, consultants and experts like the ones that we have here, with these regional social economy chambers which are supporting social economy entrepreneurs. We need to have specific programs to support the digitalization of the social economy, and this is a collective challenge of the social economy sector. If we want to be, we always say that we are tomorrow, and this will ring a bell, particularly for the French. We always say that we are the future. To be the future, we have to invest in digitalizing social economy and work together in that.
That's great. If I can add sort of one thing to that, I think it's really relevant for what Víctor and Jeanne are saying. What I'd like to add to that is that one risk that I think we have in digitalization efforts is that we've seen sort of the platform economy leading us into directions that is distracting us from our aims as social economy in Europe. So one thing that's quite tricky is to sort of teach the digitalization skills that help people understand that some platforms are better than others in a way. There are different ways to achieve digitalization, which is sort of holding true to our values in the social economy. And I think we can really capitalize on some of the knowledge sharing that is taking place under the open licenses. So that's the other thing I want to stress, is that there's, it's not just open data or open source software, it's also sharing open educational resources, for example, and building on what other materials are already out there and localizing them into the European languages and making sure they're more broadly available to people across Europe, and that they can build on that and share that through the Erasmus Plus program, through other programs, and really connect more and strengthen our networks of collaboration. So I think for that, this session was really, really interesting as well. And yeah, I look forward to collaborating more on strengthening our networks further.
Thank you very much, Sander. Yeah, to sum up, we need more digital commons within social economy. And we have the resources. We have amazing organization already in Europe that are proposing learning contents. But we have to translate everything, and for that we have to build these digital commons with the support of European institutions, and that is one other recommendation we wrote in our policy paper. So this is the end of this session. Thank you all. Thanks to the speaker, the amazing speaker, for being part of this session today with us, and thank you all for attending. We wish you a very good Mannheim Summit, and we are looking forward to meeting you later and to get your registration on our Social Tech Atlas. Thank you very much. And if you want the presentation, just ask. I will just put the email of Social Good Accelerator here. Here you are. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
everyone.
Bye.